All right, let's talk about the single most expensive, most complicated, and let's be honest, most likely to fail on the hottest day of the year system in your entire home, your HVAC. We're going to get you ready for it.
So, picture this. It's day 3 of a brutal heat wave. The sun is just beating down. The air is so thick you can practically chew it. And you're seriously wondering if you could fry an egg out on the driveway.
And then silence. That reassuring hum that's been the soundtrack to your summer, it's just gone. The one appliance you absolutely cannot live without has picked the worst possible moment to give up the ghost. Okay, that feeling of panic is totally real, but don't worry, that's exactly why we're here. We're going to walk through the exact steps so you can make a smart, calm decision, not a desperate, sweaty one. First things first, we need to understand why these systems fail, and a huge part of it comes down to where you live. To really get this, we're going to look at the climate in a place like Murrieta, California, because it's a perfect case study for how your environment puts a ton of stress on an HVAC system. I mean, look at this. In a place like that, it is a constant battle. You've got these wild temperature swings from scorching summers to freezing winters, forcing the system to work overtime all the time. Desert dust is like kryptonite, clogging up filters and coils. Then you add in things like high winds, stressing the outdoor unit, and even hard water leaving behind damaging mineral deposits. It's just a recipe for disaster, especially for those cheaper builder-grade units so many of us have. Okay, so we know why they fail. Now let's dive into what failure actually looks like. We're going to decode the most common issues because understanding the symptoms is your first step to finding the right fix. These right here are basically the greatest hits of HVAC problems. You know the feeling. The AC is running, but your house is still an oven. The furnace clicks and clicks, but never actually lights up. Maybe your upstairs is a sauna while the downstairs feels like a meat locker. And then there's that really weird one, where the system just turns on and off, every few minutes. Let's zero in on that last one, short cycling. This is a huge term to know. It basically means your system is starting and stopping constantly, never actually finishing a full cooling or heating cycle. This is incredibly inefficient, it burns through energy, and it puts a massive amount of stress on the most expensive parts. A lot of the time, it's a dead giveaway that the unit is actually too big for your house, a surprisingly common mistake. So your tech has figured out what's wrong and gives you an estimate. Now you're facing the big question. Do you pour more cash into this old machine, or is it finally time to replace it? Well, lucky for us, there's a super simple rule to help you decide. It's called the $5,000 rule, and it is just brilliant. You take the age of your system in years, and you multiply it by the repair cost. If that number comes out to be more than $5,000, it's a really strong sign that you're probably better off putting that repair money towards a brand new system. Let's do a quick example so you can see how easy this is. Let's say your system is 12 years old, and it needs a repair that's going to cost you $500. So you multiply 12 times 500, and you get $6,000. Since that is way over the $5,000 line, the rule is telling you to seriously think about replacing it instead of just patching it up again. And here's why that rule works so well. In a tough, hot climate, the average lifespan for an HVAC system is only about 12 to 18 years. So at 12 years old, your unit is already getting pretty deep into its retirement age. A big repair bill today could easily be followed by another one next year. You're just throwing good money after bad. Okay, so whether you're fixing it or replacing it, you're going to need to call in a professional. But what does a good, trustworthy service call actually look like? Let's lay out exactly what you should expect so you know you're getting what you pay for. A pro should make this simple and totally transparent. First, when you call, they should give you a clear 2-hour window for your appointment, not some vague, we'll show up sometime between 8 and 5. Second, and this is non-negotiable, the technician finds the problem and gives you a written estimate that you have to approve before they start any work. No surprise bills. And finally, after the fix, they should test everything to make sure it's running right and clean up after themselves. It's just basic professionalism. Now, if you do land on replacement, it's really important to have a realistic budget. For an average home, say around 2,000 square feet, you should expect to be somewhere in the ballpark of $6,000 to $12,000. Where you fall in that range really depends on the efficiency of the new unit, the brand you pick, and how complicated your specific installation is. And look, a proper installation today isn't just about swapping out the old box for a new one. It's about meeting modern standards for energy efficiency. Just look at the difference here. Old systems had low SEER ratings, that's kind of like MPG for your air conditioner, plus clunky manual thermostats and leaky ducts. New standards, like California's Title 24, demand much higher efficiency, programmable thermostats, and ducts that are tested for leaks. Oh, and by the way, a legit replacement absolutely requires a permit. If your contractor says you don't need one, that's a huge red flag.
So we've figured out how to get through the crisis. But what if we could avoid it altogether? That brings us to our last and maybe most important section, making the smart maintenance play. This is all about being proactive instead of reactive.
Here's the bottom line. You gotta stop thinking of an annual tune-up as an expense. It's an investment. Seriously. Having a pro come out to clean the coils, check all the connections, and test the components can catch a tiny little problem before it explodes into a catastrophic and very expensive failure. And hey, here's a simple little trick you can start using today that costs you nothing. It's the 3-minute rule. Whenever your AC turns off, just wait at least 3 minutes before you turn it back on or mess with the thermostat. That little pause gives the pressure inside the system time to balance out, which protects the compressor, that's the heart of your whole AC system, from getting seriously damaged.
And finally, if you know your system is getting old and is on its last legs, be strategic about replacing it. This chart says it all, right? In the summer, when everyone's AC is breaking, demand is through the roof and prices go right up with it. But if you plan ahead and buy in the off-season, like between October and March, you're going to find lower demand, much better prices, and way more scheduling options.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. After everything we've talked about, how do you see your HVAC system? Is it a valuable asset that you're protecting and taking care of? Or is it just a ticking time bomb sitting in your backyard, just waiting for the next heat wave to explode? The choice and the savings is really all yours.